I know, and that's actually a perfect segue. Speaking of someone else living, not giving a fuck, LGBT, all that. Shouts out to Dave Chapelle,
Biggest
who
shout out.
has been pissing people off left and right. Good golly, Miss Molly.
Mm.
Um, Dave Chappelle is to headline Netflix Comedy Festival, despite all the controversy that's going on. Apparently, Netflix is not backing down and announced that he's one of the headliners for Netflix is a Joke, which is a 11-day comedy festival that's going to run in
Fire.
LA from April 28th to May 8th. And I'll kind of leave it at that. There's not much more to read in the article. Um, I got to pass it over to you, Papo. Did you watch the latest Dave Chappelle special, and what were your
Oh,
thoughts?
yo, biggest Dave Chappelle fan since can it killing me softly? Maybe even before when I seen him
Mm,
fucking get his ass on the side of a goddamn piano on the clumps or one of the fucking nutty professors. Like, always been a fan, right? And again, I love that he's so unapologetic now. He knows that he's
yeah.
reached this Jay-Z status of things to where he is a living goat.
Yep.
His predecessors and both his colleagues refer to him as being the best. He What I really loved about kind of how his comedy evolved is that he kind of started getting preachy, but in a way to where it's enough to hook you, and you're taking all the medicine in, and by some stroke of genius, he kind of brings it all back at the end, which any good movie could, any fucking good song should, any good piece of art should
Yeah.
and does. And what I love so much is the fact that since the beginning, he's been calling, not to say calling his demise, but just how Pac predicted his death. This motherfucker had always said, these motherfuckers are going to always be after me. And considering that, not to call them, you know, uh, not even to say that they're, fuck, what was the word we were saying? Privileged or whatever. But
Yeah.
one of the main points that he was making was, let's say you take a white trans, right, and compare it to a black one. Again, you're gonna hear about one over the other, right? And even then there's still racism and classism in all those respects. Just how to
Yeah.
be a gay white man will still fucking put you over a straight black woman, right?
One one of the greatest jokes that I in like there's been a lot of controversy about the last one, but I absolutely thought it was genius. His whole thing about the baby and how the baby's a rapper who killed a nigga. And everybody was just like, oh, yeah, he killed a nigga. And the
In a
second he
Walmart.
upset gay people in a Walmart, but the second he upset gay people, they've tried to get him the fuck out of there.
Cancel.
Now it's one of those things where so I've tried to not what's the best way? I've tried to play it safe. So like I'm a big fan of Dave Chappelle. I absolutely think the guy's brilliant. I think he's my favorite comedian of all time. I also, if people are offended by Dave Chappelle
I gotta
and
call
don't
y'all
want to
real
listen
quick
to
because on
him
an IG
anymore,
post, she put Chris Rock over him. And then who the fuck did you put also on that top three? There's a top three listing. I remember it was like this.
wait, did
There
I?
there was
I
this
don't think I
meme,
put Chris
and it was
Rock
a
over him. Go
and it
ahead.
was pick your three. And I remember
Yeah.
you put Chris Rock, Dave, and fucking Dion Cole or some no name motherfucker. No, it might have been Kevin Hart. I remember
No, that definitely. No, I'm fairly certain I put Dave Chappelle, then Chris Rock, and I know it wasn't Kevin Hart for number. I fucking hate Kevin Hart. I can't. I know exactly what post you're talking about, but I cannot remember if I put Chris Rock above him. That was a typo. That
Okay.
was a typo. If I put
It might
Chris
have just
Rock
been
above him.
numeric order that might have just been because the pictures were all scattered. It was like a six piece kind of thing. But
I know exactly what you're
I
talking
just want to throw
about.
a little bit of shade on that because I wasn't too sure. And matter of factly, I love how tight they are. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Oh,
found it.
I know who it was. It was motherfucker from Nutty Professor. I can't even forget his
So
name.
wait, no. So I
He fucks
found it.
Scary Spice.
So wait, what?
He got 12
Oh
kids.
yeah, Eddie Murphy.
Eddie
Eddie Murphy.
Murphy.
Yeah. So I don't know if people can see
There
that,
you go.
but yeah. So basically, it says you're throwing a comedy show. Which three are you paying to perform? So it's Richard Pryor, Bernie Mac, Martin Lawrence, Chris Rock, Chris Tucker, Dave Chappelle, Eddie Murphy. Cat Williams. I feel bad because I can't remember this brother's name for the life of me, but he was the genius behind Bebe's Kids. Then there's
Oh
Cedric the
yeah.
Entertainer.
Is it
Yeah.
Rock?
No, 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 no.
It was another
Uh,
rascal. raspy voice motherfucker though.
Yeah, and I know the second I hear his name, I'll remember it. But off the top of my head, I can't remember it. But Cedric the Entertainer, Mike Epps, and then Kevin Hart. And so it was just pick three. So the three I picked was Richard Pryor, Dave Chapelle, and Eddie Murphy,
Yeah.
which are my three favorite. And then rounding all 4 and 5 would probably be Chris Rock and probably Cat Williams. But yeah, I could definitely say above
Yo,
all of that, Kevin Hart is on the bottom because he's absolute piece of human trash. And I'll just leave it at that.
yo, R.I.P. both to first shout out to Dick Gregory, who I didn't know him for his comedy, but just
Yeah.
how he spoke, he was shit talking. I used to love the way he'd fucking yell at director, and he fucking hit you with
Yep.
the you didn't say his yeah means. And Dick Gregory, not to kind of tie him into Paul Mooney, but Paul Mooney again, R.I.P. because he passed, right? Yeah, and
Yes. Recently.
he
Yep.
to me he was the genius behind um fuck, who was the other one on your top list? I can't forget his fucking name right now. He's one of the goats, man. uh
Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor. He co-wrote for Richard Pryor, arguably
Yeah.
the biggest every comedian's favorite comedian, right? So to think that he was just such a mastermind, bro, and the fact that he wasn't even up there. I mean, he had a couple of specials, and one thing I love too, for y'all that want to do your Googles and YouTube, he has a fucking stand up on YouTube where it shows a white bitch topless serving drinks, and I love that he had a white woman, you know what I'm saying, with her titties
Gotta love
hanging,
it.
pouring drinks.
Gotta love it. I know Paul Mooney was that guy, rest in peace or whatever. He was a genius. He was one of the comedians though. And again, and I say all that to say
A
to
lot of
kind of like bring
controversy
Dave
behind it.
Chappelle back into it. And it's one of those things where like comedy is a preferred taste. So typically everyone's not going to have the same opinion. You could, you may have a bunch of people who agree that this person's their favorite, but if you have them go, pick out 5, 10, chances are there's not too many people in the world that are going to have the same because comedy is a preferred taste. So it's one of
Right.
those things where, hey, if you don't like somebody, I get it.
Yeah.
And so like Paul Mooney, there was a lot of white people that did not like Paul Mooney. I get it.
He
I'm
was
not a
not
fan.
he was not apologetic at all.
And he used to kill me because there were comedy shows where literally he would open the comedy show and he would keep going in on white people. So the
Until they
white people
left.
got up and walked out and he said, all right, they're gone now. Now I can start my show. Like,
No bigger fuck
oh,
you. No greater goat.
oh,
And that's why another
oh.
reason again, and the reason I even mention them is because Dave Chappelle had the foresight to know not only am I going to give this man his proper dues because he'd eventually sprinkle him into Black Nostradamus and little Ask a Black Person and
Yes.
little sprinkles throughout his series, he always kept his name alive. And
Yes.
in the comedy game, it's kind of a dog eat dog kind of thing where you don't do that. And
Yeah.
again, to show how comfortable he was and where he is now, because mind you, you can go back to Eddie Murphy's Raw. It's very
Yeah.
dated. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The leather might be in every time and now and again, but like it's super dated. So
Yeah.
and again, not only is taste kind of different, right? By I mean, not only your race but also generational. So again, you can't. So it's the things that carried on that makes them so prolific. And again, Dave Chappelle just fucking he goes hard. And one of the things
Goes
I
hard.
to mention back to I guess just part of his balls is that he wouldn't mention the person's name, but obviously social media is going to dig it up, and they kind of brought up who that white trans person was. Nothing
Oh
to do
yeah.
with white, but he again put it out there to where, and I don't know if it was because she had already passed, they kind of as loving and respect memory or a token, and even though her family wasn't too happy with it, because mind you, she was a scapegoat in the family. So to
Yeah.
think that they didn't have any love for her because of her lifestyle, and then all of a sudden she passes, and we're going to speak for her now. It's I think all that again was just misfocused and kind of shows you it's all a little bit about a bunch of bullshit. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, this last one wasn't one of my favorites, but it's kind of
I
like
agree.
he's reached a level now to where I don't think he can get any funnier. It's just about
Yeah.
what's his 2 cents.
And also like, so my thing, because I saw a lot of people who were like, this last one was not funny, and I get that, it wasn't the last couple of ones that he's done, because he did that one little George Floyd special, and it
Yeah.
wasn't supposed to be funny or whatever. It's just him talking. And a lot of what he's doing now is just him talking, processing ideas. Now, the thing I will say though is also on the flip side of it. So he signed that deal with Netflix. He's dropped a special every year for 6 years in a row.
Damn, it
What
has been fun.
comedian what comedian is dropping that much content and it's still like phenomenal? Like again, Jay-Z's my favorite rapper of all time, and there was an era where for a while Jay-Z was dropping a new album every 8 months. Every album wasn't a classic. I personally think that every other one was great, but you can't drop that much content back to back to back to back to back like that and every one of them be perfect. So I understand why, like, after a while it got diluted, because by all honesty or whatever, if you're a comedian, you should probably do a special maybe every 3 to 5 years. And then probably someone on like a Dave Chapelle level, shit, maybe once every 7 years or whatever. Dave Chapelle should disappear, come back in 2028 or whatever, share his thoughts over the past like 7 years or whatever. But I I I I'll say that's part of the reason why, again, 6 shows in a row. And like you mentioned earlier, he's a genius, and that's a lot of what he's doing now, or whatever, is he's just talking. He's just throwing ideas out there. It's not necessarily like he's not trying to
Ain't
be
hit you
funny
the
anymore. He's
punchline.
like, cancel me. Yeah. It's like whatever. Like, fuck it. You don't like it. I'm gonna keep saying the shit that pisses you off, and I'm gonna continue to do what I do. So
And in the point too, that's kind of like, for example, I don't know if there can be black people that are not fans of Floyd Mayweather or Mayfield, but
wait,
the,
the boxer?
the boxer is that is
Oh
it
no, there's a
Floyd?
lot of people that don't like him. Floyd
Okay,
Mayweather. Yeah,
so
but
I say
yeah.
that because like when you have some kind of personal investment, you flock to them. So the reason I'm even mentioning this is because what the fuck am I trying to say? I don't know. It's just hard to be upset. And actually, no, I remember he's gotten very. This has kind of been in the past few specials, so it's kind of like it's kind of gone. Not unnoticed because I noticed it. Sure, others have too. Is that, and I don't know whether you want to call it confidence or just a newfound kind of shimmy up of arrogance that can sometimes push people the wrong way. Again, going back to Floyd and
Yes.
kind of him flexing, it's like, because you know you're the best. How many times do you have to actually tell me that? But again, at the same time,
Yeah.
if no one else is going to give you fucking flowers, why not fucking
You
give
gotta
it to
give
you
it to
guy
yourself.
himself? You know, every rapper is not going to say, "Oh, I'm the fucking second best." You know what I'm saying? No, you the
Yeah.
best. This is what I'm doing. Go hard, and
Exactly.
yeah. So I can't be mad at
Exactly.
that. Although I'm pretty sure that's what probably pushed a couple of people the wrong way. But I mean, can you
Yeah.
see anyone else
And the
doing it better than him?
and the fact that he won't stop bullying trans people, like, I get it, and it's one of those things too where it was like, and I think that's more so why a lot of people have really turned on him, or some people or whatever, especially super like liberal people, if you will. He made those comments in the first couple of ones or whatever that pissed off the LGBT group, and then he doubled down on it, and then tripled down on it, and then quadrupled down on it. It's like, okay, bro, like, we get it. Like, and it's one of those things too where I think the funniest thing that could possibly happen is if in the next 5 years, if he ends up leaving his wife and then ends up getting with a trans person, that would be the most hilarious thing. Where again, like, shouts out to Boozy, who every time a gay person does something or wherever, little Boozy got something to say about it. And it's one of those things where it's like, you might be telling on yourself. Maybe there's a little bit of that going on in there. I don't know. Maybe he's telling on himself. I
Headed,
digress. I digress.
head his head.